Hello, I'm Oliver Colling, and this is the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. Hello, and a warm welcome back to the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. It's been a little while since our last quiz, as Christmas and New Year have got in the way. That doesn't sound great, does it? Christmas and New Year have happened, and I'm sure we all thoroughly enjoyed them. Incidentally, if you missed our special episode remembering Bob Monkhouse on the 20th anniversary of his passing in December, I'd heartily recommend listening. We were joined by Colin Edmonds, Bob's joke writer, who shared lots of insights into the great man during a fascinating discussion. Plus, he seems like a lovely bloke. So we're back with 20 questions to test your knowledge of TV from the 1970s. This is our first quiz of 2024, so a Happy New Year to you, even though I know it's the middle of January as we release this episode. It's all for fun, although I do know that many of you do get fiercely competitive over our quiz, which makes it all the more exciting. So without further ado, let's get on with round one. And round one is our famous Spin the Wheel round, where I spin the wheel of fate to choose a year to which our questions will relate. The wheel, as regular listeners know, has been constructed at vast expense for My 70s TV Childhood expressly for this purpose. So, for the first time in 2024, let's spin the wheel. And it's landed on 1979. Okay. So all of our questions today will be about popular TV shows which ended in 1979, so where the last episode was broadcast in 1979. Question 1. On 5th of January 1979, we saw the last episode of which cheeky Scouse Girl comedy show, which ran from 1969. Question 2. Ian Ogilvy starred as a wealthy smoothie rushing around Europe doing exciting things, in which show which was last shown on the 11th of March 1979? Question 3. Bob Monkhouse, who as mentioned we last remembered in a recent episode, signed off a hugely successful run of which game show on the 7th of July 1979? The game show was subsequently revived in 1993, again featuring Bob Monkhouse, and once again in 2014 when it was hosted by Warwick Davis. But what was the show? Question 4. Eric Sykes had his own show called Sykes, so obviously that's not the question here, which ran from 1972 to 1979. But who were his two main co-stars during the run of Sykes between 1972 and 1979? And finally, question 5. Signing off with a Christmas Day special, which sitcom spin-off from Man About the House ended on Christmas Day 1979. So how did you find that? I think it was quite a gentle start for our first round. So let's have a go and see how you find the next round. In round 2, we're asking some questions about things featured in past editions of the podcast. So if you're a regular listener, you may have a bit of an advantage here. But if not, don't worry. You should be able to make a good stab at most of the questions. We call this our Fil Rouge round, in honour of It's a Knockout when it went all European and became Jeux Sans Frontières. So here we go with round 2. Question 1. In a March 2021 episode, we celebrated the 50th birthday of Mr. Ben. What costume did he wear on his very first adventure? And I'll give you a choice here. Was it a caveman, a knight, or a spaceman? Question 2. We feature the Jerry and Sylvia Anderson live-action show Space 1999 in May 2021. What was the name of the spacecraft used on Moonbase Alpha to travel around the moon and to other planets? As a clue, plenty of them crashed or were destroyed during the run of the series. Question 3. Which newsreader narrated the animated series Mary, Mungo and Midge? Question 4. In Size of an Elephant, way back in 2020, we remember the banana splits. Can you name them? And for a bonus point, tell me what sort of animals each of them were. Question 5. More recently, in October 2023, we remembered Reggie Perrin. What was the name of his boss at Sunshine Desserts? And, I'm feeling very generous today for another bonus point, what was the character's full name? So what was Reggie Perrin's boss called at Sunshine Dessert? And what was the character's full name? Halfway through now, 10 down and 10 to go. So let's go on to our next round, round 3. And this round is called Name That Tune, in honour of the musical quiz hosted by Tom O'Connor. And very simply, all that happens here is I play you a tune, you write down the name of the TV show, and we'll see whether you get it right. Pretty simple, really, although this seems to be the round that I get most feedback on from you. It's either too easy, too difficult, or you find it hugely infuriating, given that you know what the tune is, but you just can't quite place it. Well, let's see how you fare this week. And here's theme tune number 1. Theme tune number 2. And let's move on to theme tune 3. And theme number 4. And finally, theme tune number 5. And this one is slightly different because it was actually a theme tune to 2 programmes with a very similar title. So 2 series with a very similar title. So if you can name one or the other, that's fine. And if you can name both, no bonus point, but you'll feel very satisfied. Okay, a few tricky ones there, perhaps. So already, we're on to our final round. Let's bring on round 4. And this is our general trivia round TV Times, where we ask 5 general trivia questions with a 1970s TV connection. So let's go. Question 1. Who hosted the Royal Variety Performance in 1976? Question 2. Which ITV Saturday children's show was first broadcast 50 years ago this month? That's January 2024 for those listening at a different time. Question 3. What was the name of the Blue Peter tortoise through most of the 1970s? So for the majority of the 1970s, what was the name of the Blue Peter tortoise? Question 4. Who starred as Claudius in the acclaimed BBC series I, Claudius? And finally, in honour of the late David Soul, in which year was Starsky and Hutch first shown on British television? So that's not the first year it was made, but the first year it was shown on British television. And there we have it, another 20 questions done. How did you fare? Well, I suppose we'll find out in a minute or two. But before then, I've got the answer to our last bonus question from our last quiz, which was our Christmas quiz. And I asked you, which was my favourite Christmas present as a child in the 1970s? Was it A, Action Man, B, Subbuteo, or C, a train set? Now, many of you who got in touch got this right, as it has been mentioned a few times in previous episodes of the podcast. It was B, Subbuteo, which I absolutely loved. Although I did love the other 2 presents very much as well. Okay, so let's see what our answers are for this week. Round 1, our Spin the Wheel. The Cheeky Scout Girl comedy show, which ran from 1969 to January 1979, was The Liverbirds. Question 2. Ian Ogilvy starred as a wealthy smoothie rushing around Europe in The Return of the Saint, which, strangely enough, only ran for one quite long season and wasn't recommissioned after that. Question 3. Bob Monkhouse. Which game show was it that he hosted that ended in July 1979? It was Celebrity Squares. Question 4. On Eric Sykes' show Sykes, who were the 2 main co-stars? And they were Hattie Jakes and Derek Guyler. And question 5, the spin-off from Men About the House, which ended on Christmas Day 1979, was George and Mildred. Round 2. What was the costume that Mr. Ben wore on his very first adventure? Was it a caveman, a knight, or a spaceman? It was a knight in The Red Knight. So well done if you got that one. What was the name of the spacecraft used in Space 1999? They were the Eagles. And I did know that somebody had actually gone and added up how many Eagles were destroyed throughout the 2 series of Space 1999 and worked out that it just was not possible for so many of them to actually exist or have been fixed or to be blown up. But anyway, that seems a bit dull of a thing to do. Just suspend your imagination for a little while. Question 3. Which newsreader narrated the animated series Mary, Mungo and Midge? It was Richard Baker. Question 4. The banana splits. Can you name them and also what creatures they were? Okay. So it was Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper and Snork or Snorky. And what they were, Fleagle was a beagle. Bingo was an ape or a gorilla. Drooper was a lion. And Snork or Snorky was an elephant. So well done if you got those. There's a bonus point if you got the types of animal right as well. And then question 5, going to the fall and rise of Reginald Perrin. What was the name of Reggie's boss at Sunshine Desserts? It was CJ. And for another bonus point, what was the character's full name? It was Charles Jefferson. Okay, round 3, name that tune. First off is a programme I've had quite a bit of correspondence from various listeners on. And I think it's well worth featuring in a future episode, and that was the Japanese import Marine Boy. Theme tune 2 was The Wooden Tops, and I bet many of you were sat there thinking, I know what that is, but I can't quite place it. It was The Wooden Tops. Question 3, was Esther Anson's That's Life. Question 4 was Warship. And question 5, and this is where there's a slight trick, this was a theme tune to And Mother Makes 3, but it was also the theme tune to And Mother Makes 5, which were sort of domestic sitcoms, if you don't remember, starring Wendy Craig. And the 3 or the 5 depended on the number of people in the house as more children arrived. And then our final round, TV Times. Question 1, who hosted the Royal Variety Performance in 1976? It was Max Bygraves. Question 2, which ITV Saturday children's show was first broadcast 50 years ago this month? Again, January 2024 for those listening on catch-up. It was Tiswas. Question 3, what was the name of the Blue Peter tortoise through most of the 1970s? And that was Frida. Question 4, who starred as Claudius in I, Claudius? It's Derek Jacobi. And finally, in which year was Starsky and Hutch first shown on British TV? It was 1976. There we are. So how did you do? Are you a New Year TV trivia champ? Or are you sunk in the January blues? Let me know by emailing quiz@my70stvchildhood or by commenting on our Twitter/X feed, on our Facebook, YouTube or LinkedIn pages, or by leaving a comment on our blog at www.my70stvchildhood.com. You could also leave me your answer to this week's bonus question. And here it comes. In 1970, ITV staff went on strike for 3 months. However, all TV shows were still broadcast, but with a big difference. What was it? Quite an interesting one this time, I think. So that's our first quiz of 2024 complete. I hope you join me next week for the next episode of the podcast and in a fortnight for our next quiz. In the meantime, don't forget to like, rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Take care and join me again soon for more from My 70s TV Childhood and the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz.